Today in the Smugglers Room, we feel the need for speeder modifications. Because this smuggler's nephew ain't driving around Tatooine in no plastic toy. Nope, he's gonna cruise over Jawas and Womp Rats in a souped up Landspeeder. That's coming up. What's up, you awesome geeks? I'm Brian and welcome to the Smugglers Room. This week, this chubby geek is setting out to create the ultimate in speeder modifications for a Christmas present for our nephew. We are going to base this modification on the Toys R Us Radio Flyer Luke Skywalker Landspeeder. You remember that one, right? It had a really cool design, it had interactive buttons and lights and sound on the control panel, and it had plenty of power to send your little one flying through the desert dune sea at breakneck speed. Now, all that said, no nephew of mine is going to be cruising the streets of Mos Eisley in a stock speeder. That's just not happening. Now, before the purists and toy collectors in the room send me packages of thermal detonators hoping I will explode upon receiving, let's look at this as an exercise in storytelling, shall we? In 1977, Luke sells the Landspeeder and leaves the planet, vowing never to return. And I like to think that the person he sold that to, a young kid perhaps, modified that speeder, souped it up to better perform on his way to the Tashi station when he picks up his own power converters. That works for me. So yeah, we're gonna go with that. Let's get after it. The first aspect of this speeder that desperately needed attention and upgrading is the exposed thruster. Though the plastic representation is cute, I wanted actual wires and pipes exposed here, so we need to make some modifications. Let me tell you, the plumbing aisle in the big box store is a greebly paradise. You can spend just a few minutes and find all kinds of great looking stuff. These pieces assembled together can make for some interesting shapes inside our thruster. Now, we're going to move on to the control panel because it needs some serious upgrades. But don't worry, we'll come back to the thruster in just a few. The control panel again is cute, but not anywhere near to the level of detail I want. I guess this is a kid's toy after all, but that doesn't mean we can't have some added LEDs and a little realism to it. Tell you what, geeks, you are going to see that this project is a total exercise in rub and buff. It was just the perfect material for so much of this project, and I couldn't stop. Now, we're not doing anything crazy with electronics on this project, but I did want to add some LEDs and a little more functionality for my little guy. That being said, I didn't know the voltage coming off of the leads from the battery, so we needed to figure out a way that we could determine what kind of power we were dealing with, so we didn't have to add anything extra to achieve that. Enter the Multimeter, and we set it up to read DC voltage from the battery. This will allow us to connect the leads from the battery and see what we're dealing with. My LEDs are rated from 9 volt to 12 volt, and they have a built-in resistor. The lead from the battery is just over 12 volts, so I know I can piggyback off of this lead and provide power to the 3 additional LEDs I want to have, and I can add a switch for those little LEDs for some more interactive fun. Okay, so the canopy was a bit scratched. Nothing too terrible, but it was something I wanted to deal with. I also wanted to paint the dashboard black, so I figured our new owner simply tinted the windows. That makes sense, right? I mean, it's Tatooine and it's bright, so why wouldn't you? Okay, another added feature is the new hydro fuel compression air intake system for added speed. Is that a real thing? Absolutely doubt it. I just picked some interesting sounding words and put them together. Besides, I'm not a car guy, I'm a Star Wars guy. And this isn't a car, it's a speeder from another planet. So I'm okay with it. Essentially, I wanted an interesting looking thing on the front of the speeder that had tubes and things coming back towards the thruster. Nothing says Star Wars like exposed tubes and stuff bolted down to the outside of the ship. Again, the plumbing aisle at the big box store is just a toy box for adults. Okay, so we're back to the exposed thruster. Now that we have it in place, it's time to add some wiring and tubes to this. We really want this to look like the cover was removed when the owner worked on it and upgraded the fuel system. Then obviously was not able to put the cover back on or really didn't care to put the cover back on. Either way, now we have a really interesting look to our thruster. At this point, we're going to work on the final weathering and assembly of the project. And I also want to take this time to go through and check all the extra pieces I've added and make sure they're securely bolted or really glued into place. I don't want anything to come loose or my nephew to be able to pull anything out that he shouldn't. That is especially true for the thruster and all those wires. We'll bolt all that down securely. Okay, I feel a lot better about this speeder. And I don't think the little Tuscan Raiders are going to pick on my nephew when he pulls up to the cantina in this thing. Now, I am so excited to deliver this to my nephew for Christmas. But I'm not going to lie, I kind of want to get in and take it for a spin. I'm just not sure, being a chubby geek, if the suspension would hold. Now, we had a bunch of different ideas for electronics, upgrades on the sound, and more that we just didn't have time for. But I'm curious, what would you have done different? Is there anything you would have liked to add? And does it give you ideas for your own modification? If so, put those in the comments below. We'd love to see that. Now, on the subject of gifts and celebration, we did want to take 1 second and thank all of you for the incredible support while we've been gone the last few weeks. We've received some incredible notes and messages from you, and we can't thank you enough. It's been tough, and you guys have been amazing. So we want to wish each of you and your families a wonderful Christmas, and we'll see you real soon the next time we build something out of nothing.